Welcome back to another weekly Recap. I'm Brie E Anderson, and this week we're going to be talking about how some WordPress plugins went haywire. Then we'll hit a little bit on mobile-first indexing, how ByteDance is releasing a new app, and how Twitter and Instagram are both bringing on new features that are not new for social media. Then we're going to go outside digital and talk about how the coronavirus is changing the world as we know it. Okay, first things first, I want to address the fact that I missed last week. Last week I was actually in San Diego meeting with some friends from around the industry and learning from some of the best in the industry. Major shout out to Marcus Sheridan, Brian Fanzo, Rob Belisabas, Dan Holloway, all sorts of people. I was able to be in the room with some amazing people throughout the week, last week, and a lot of the things that I learned at Social Media Marketing World and the people I connected with gave me perspective to some of the things that I'm going to talk about this week. So I just want to apologize for missing last week. That won't be happening again anytime soon. You can be assured of that. All right, so let's jump into our first story. So let's talk about these WordPress plugins that went a little crazy. The first plugin is one that many of us use. It's called Google Analytics Dashboard, you know, the one that has over 1 million downloads. What happened is Google Analytics Dashboard went through an entire redesign from the ground up. When it was redesigned, it actually put the wrong UA numbers in a lot of people's tags so that they weren't collecting data. Now, if you haven't gone in and fixed this, you could still not be collecting data. This happened on February 29th. One of the first people to see it and fix it got their data back up and running by March 4th. So please make sure you go out and check that. So that's just one of the crazy things that happened. Yoast canonical tags, they also did an update recently, and any canonical that was set up is now going to site.com // as opposed to whatever you were canonicalizing that page to. And what this came from was the fact that they are not accepting Unicode, anything outside of Unicode text. So mostly this affects non-English speakers. So if you're using any sort of text outside of the letters that are used in English language, then your canonicals could be set up and going to the wrong place. So make sure you check that out. I might take those canonicals down just for a little bit if I were you, just to make sure that you're not sending all of your Google juice to the wrong place. Yoast does say in the next update that this will be patched, but until then, like I said, those canonicals are not going to be going to the place that you want them to, more than likely. So just make sure you're going in and checking that. All right, on to the next plugin, Duplicator plugin. So if you don't use Duplicator plugin, it is really nice because it allows you to just duplicate your page on WordPress, and there's really no other easy way to do that. But what happened was that Duplicator was hacked, and so now people were able to get inside of Duplicator and export all of the data from different websites, including the login credentials. So if you've used Duplicator recently, please go change your password, update to the latest version, and secure that site of yours. Another plugin that had a security issue was the Profile Builder plugin. It was allowing people to make unauthorized admin accounts in Profile Builder. Again, an issue because now they have access to all of your data. So just make sure that all of the accounts on your websites are legit and that they have the right access they're supposed to have, and that you have updated to the latest Profile Builder plugin. Another one that was hit big time, Flex checkout forms for WooCommerce. Again, people were able to kind of get into this plugin and create themselves admin accounts, which again gave them access to a lot of information they did not need to have access to. So please just check it out. Make sure you're updating all of your plugins, because usually the reason there's an update, other than, fixing glitches and bugs, is because that there may have been a security risk. So always stay on top of those plugins. Make sure you're checking everything out. I have linked to 3 different articles, all talking about different bugs and issues and security risks that have happened this week, including one that talks about Let's Encrypt. A lot of SSL certificates were actually taken back, so make sure you're checking your SSL certificates. These are all things that our friends that are in technical SEO or web development would be looking at, but they are often busy with a lot of other things. So I am telling you right now, go talk to your web developers, go talk to your technical SEO, and make sure that your site is secured and everything is working the way it's supposed to be, and only the people that have access to what they're supposed to have that access, okay? Now, let's move on to some bigger news. Well, maybe not bigger news, but some pretty big news. So as many of us know in SEO, Google has been moving towards mobile-first indexing, meaning that they are actually going to be crawling your website primarily with mobile bots. That means they're going to be crawling it as a smartphone user or with their smartphone user agents, and they're only going to be collecting that data, and every once in a while, they will crawl your site with a traditional desktop user agent. So what Google has said is that starting September 2020, all indexing will be done mobile first, which means if you go to your website on a smart device and you can't get to page 52, then Google's not going to be able to get to page 52. And they're not going to be able to put that page in the index, which means nobody's going to be able to find it with search. So you have to make sure that your site is ready for mobile first. This means all of the content that's on your desktop site when you're editing it needs to be the same as what's on your mobile site. All of the same navigation, all the same pictures, videos, text, infographics, GIFs, whatever you have on your desktop site has to be on your mobile site. Because what Google sees, if there's a discrepancy, and we'll get to that in a second, but if there is a discrepancy, they see that you're leaving things out and they don't like that because they know that the majority of traffic coming to just about any website is mobile. Now, like I was saying, so they may compare that. They're only going to be sending desktop bots very, very rarely. All of this depends, on your crawl budget, how often you're changing your website, things of that nature. But you should pretty much bet that 90% of the time when your site is being crawled and indexed, it's being crawled and indexed by a mobile-first bot. So, like I said, make sure you have that same content. Also, make sure you have the same structured data on both desktop and mobile sites, just again to make sure everything is pretty cohesive. Now, Google has also come out and said that they are not a fan of separate or subdomains for your mobile site. They want all sites to be responsive because, again, to them it looks a little flaky that you have two separate places that you're sending people. They want it all to be the same site with the same text, the same content, no matter what device people are coming to it on. It's time to sit down and have a conversation with them and say, hey, look, mobile first is coming. What is our plan? Because if you don't have a plan, you're going to get left behind. And like I said, you're going to have pages missing from the index. People aren't going to be coming through your site because you're going to get hit hard in the rankings. So make sure you have everything ready for mobile first. I will drop some information in the show notes so that you have all the information you need in order to make your site mobile first ready, because September 2020, the game is about to change. Already about 70% of crawls and indexes are done for mobile first, but it's going to be 100% September 2020, so you better be 100% September 2020. Okay, now let's move to the social side. I want to talk about this new app that ByteDance released. So if you don't know, ByteDance was the creator of TikTok. They're also the people that bought Musical.ly and merged TikTok and Musical.ly. But they just released a new app in India called Resso. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't really know. It's Resso, and it's a social music streaming platform. So it's pretty interesting because, like, you think of a Spotify or a Pandora, it's streaming music just like that, and it works on a freemium basis just like those other platforms, but it adds social elements. So things like you're able to share lyrics and put the lyrics over a picture and then share them out to other social media platforms. You're able to create a vibe where you're able to put a picture behind the lyrics so that as you're listening to music and the lyrics are going by, you just see it that way, and no matter what song comes across, that picture is in the background. It kind of sets the feeling, I like to think of it as. You're able to comment at certain sections of the songs and your friends can see what you're commenting. So it's creating this whole culture around music, which I think is very interesting because they do have, such a big audience on TikTok, and they've said they kind of want to create this whole culture around music. So they're bringing users from TikTok onto Resso, which again, I'm not sure if that's how you say it. And this is where they're going to be able to start making some money because they're charging for some of that streaming service. It's just like Spotify in that sense where you can pay to not see ads or hear ads, I guess. But it allows users to be interactive. And I think I might be crazy here, but I think that ByteDance could really be the next kind of like Facebook conglomerate because they have TikTok, and this is where people are being, they're doing video, they're being very social and interactive, and then they have this app where it's like music, but they're still being social and interactive. And what's really unique about both of these platforms that my good friend Brian Fanzo pointed out was that they both encourage sharing to other platforms. So instead of having to use advertising dollars, people can just download their videos or download their picture with lyrics on it or whatever they're creating on TikTok or on this new app, and they can share it out to other platforms. And the only thing that TikTok and Resso do to these videos or to these pictures, whatever they're sharing, is they put a watermark and they say it's from wherever, and they put that username on there. So if you're downloading from TikTok, it'll have a TikTok watermark and it'll have your TikTok handle. And then if you download from Resso, it does the same thing. These people are brilliant, and they're they're encouraging people to share content, and they're encouraging people to get others involved and really express themselves. I think they're more focused on the users than Facebook or Instagram may be. And they're growing very, very quickly. So I'll be interested to see where this goes. But another thing I want to say about this is, just like I said with the Robinhood app, this is really cool because it's just showing that these people are continuing to go to smaller spaces where they can have deeper conversations about what it is that they love, right? I'm really into pop punk and alternative music, and I could totally see myself using this app and connecting to other people that I might be able to go see a concert with someday, or, people from around the world, and see what the song means to them. That was kind of the big premise of this app, is they say, music, if you go to the landing page, it's just resso.com/app. It says, music connects people, but it's interpreted different by everyone. And they wanted to give people a platform for that. And I just think that, I'm telling you guys, they are really on it. If you are sleeping on ByteDance, you're sleeping on a giant, because they're coming up and they're going to get it. So keep an eye out for Resso. Right now it's only in India because they know that that's where the majority of their TikTok users are. And TikTok users apparently have been asking for something like this. So they delivered. Again, they listen to the audience, they care about the audience, and they're going in the right direction. Okay, now I want to talk about these platforms that are taking old social features and adding them to their platforms. So if you haven't seen it, then you must be sleeping under a rock, because Twitter now has fleets. So they have tweets and they have fleets. Fleets are Twitter's version of stories, the Ethereum content that disappears after 24 hours. I think we'll see more and more people, LinkedIn did it last week. They came out with saying that they were going to be introducing stories too. So LinkedIn and Twitter both now are having stories come out. Right now, Twitter only has stories in Brazil, and it's mostly some bigger brands. But, it just works the same as stories on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, where you can click on your little profile thing, you can upload a picture, and it lives there for 24 hours, and you can tap through your friends. It's going to work the exact same way. But what's interesting is that it took Twitter so long to jump on this bandwagon because the content moves so quickly on Twitter. I really would have expected that they would have brought it on sooner, and they really probably should have, because it does move so quickly. It just fits in perfectly with the platform. Most tweets are dead within a day anyways. Actually, most tweets are dead within an hour, let's be honest. So stories fits in perfectly with this platform. But I'm sure there will be pushback against adapting it, just because people are like, well, I go to Twitter for this, this, and this, and stories was not part of that mix for such a long time, even though it could have been. And of course, just like every other Twitter rollout, everybody comes out and says that they want the edit button, they don't want stories. Twitter has a reason that they're not adding an edit button. I do not predict that we will ever see an edit button, so why don't we just let it go? Another platform that's taking social features from other platforms and putting it onto theirs is IGTV. So a lady that's a reverse engineer, I don't even know what that means, but basically she spotted that Instagram is going to be allowing reactions to IGTV content. So, and you have to allow it. So people can't always react to it, but basically you press a button, you say yes, they can react to it, or no, they can't react to it. If you haven't been on TikTok, you probably don't know what a react or a duet is, but essentially what it does is it allows you to record your face as you're watching content. A lot of YouTubers do this, so it's not really a foreign concept, but what is interesting is that it works really well on TikTok, but TikToks are no longer than 60 seconds, and IGTVs tend to be pretty long. So I don't know if it's like you have to react the whole 4 minutes or what have you. Again, like I said, YouTubers have done it, so maybe you do. I don't know. I don't see the appeal in watching somebody react to something for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. I'm not really sure that I would be into that, but maybe somebody else would. But essentially what reacting is, it just shows the content, and in a corner, there's a little square and it has your face reacting to it. So again, this is something that came off of TikTok and did really well on TikTok. I'll be interested to see how they integrate it into IGTV. Maybe they'll split up specific pieces of the IGTV content and allow you to react and reshare to those specific pieces of the content. But either way, it is supposedly coming to IGTV. Shout out to the lady that figured that out. I don't know when they mentioned that she was a reverse engineer, if that meant that she reverse engineered it and found it that way. If so, that's kind of crazy. Not sure if that's legal, but whatever, she did it, and be on the lookout for it because supposedly it's coming. I think it's just another play though for Instagram to try and boost the engagement with IGTV because it's still not doing as good as they want it to. So we'll just have to see on that one. All of these changes with social media, every single time I see a new feature come out on social media that isn't original, which 90% of the time it's not, I just start to wonder if anyone is ever truly going to make their own unique platform without focusing on what everyone else is doing. I know it's important to look at your competitors and to see how people are using other platforms and bring that to your platform in the best way possible. But I think just because, like I said, I think Stories is a really, really good fit for Twitter. But I think just because Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram have Stories doesn't necessarily mean that LinkedIn has to have Stories, but I know a lot of people said the same thing with Live. I just encourage everyone to know what your mission is, know what you're looking to do, and please only focus on that and what's going to make your business and your focus successful. All right, that's my rant on social media. Now I want to talk about all of the chaos that's been going on around the world with the coronavirus, which is a virus that's spreading like crazy, and it's causing a lot of panic, a lot of unrest, just a lot of uneasiness in people. We've seen tons and tons of conferences of all sizes get canceled, the most significant recently being South by Southwest. We've seen that Google has opened up their enterprise video conferencing up to everyone in the world because so many people are having to go into work remote. And we've also seen Facebook put a ban on ads advertising face masks, where people are jacking up the prices of face masks and trying to sell them to people. They've strictly come out and said that they are not okay with that and they're going to be banning those ads. There is a lot to take in right now, I think, and I just want to say a few things on that. The first is that I highly encourage you to check in on your employees, your coworkers, your boss, whomever you work with, the people around you, the people you care about, and just make sure that they're okay. I encourage you to take time to yourself and make sure that you are okay. Make sure you're taking care of yourself physically, but also mentally. This can be a tough time for many. So I just encourage you to take that time. If you need help or you need someone to talk to, I will put links in the show notes for teledoctors and and online therapists and all of those things, because I think it's really important that we're taking care of ourselves right now, because it is so easy to get caught up in all of this craziness and forget about taking care of ourselves. So that's the first thing I want to get out there on that. Another thing I want to get out there is that working from home is a very big shift. So if you are telling all of your employees now you have to go work from home, that's going to be hard for a lot of them. So continue to check in on them with that, and don't expect them to be great at it right away. It is a very big difference, especially because if you are sending your employees home, you have to think that their kids have probably been sent home too. So if they have kids, those rascals are probably running around like crazy because they have no idea what's going on. So please be lenient with each other, be nice to one another, and take each other's situations into consideration. Make sure that if you don't already, you do have a designated space where you can work from home. Make sure you have all the equipment you're going to need necessary to work from home, just in case. It's better to be safe than sorry, and to have to stay at home and then all of a sudden you're working from your smartphone only or something like that, right? Just make sure you are prepared in that sense. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, and make sure you're helping each other out any way you can. Like I said, a lot of businesses and conferences and all of those things are having to shut down, and they're having to be rescheduled, what have you. This is going to put a lot of people in a tough situation. So I think all it comes down to right now, guys, is just be kind to one another, care about one another, know that this isn't only affecting you, get help when you need it, and support one another. Last thing I'll say on that is, while you are going to be working with limitations, remember, like I said earlier, that all of this comes back to one thing. Put your customer first, put your employees first. Those two should at least be tied for first, or your employees should come first, let's be honest. Everybody is human. Everyone's going through tough things right now. So make sure that you're taking that into consideration when people are calling you upset, angry, scared, nervous, what have you. Whether that be an employee or that be a customer, right? So no matter what side you're on, just know that there's a lot going on right now. I'm wishing everyone the best, and wishing you guys health, peace, and happiness. And as always, I'm encouraging you to stay learning and stay relevant. I'm Brie E Anderson. Thank you for checking out another weekly Brie Cap. I'll be back with you next week to talk about more digital marketing news.